Senator Batters, followed by Senator Tkachuk, Senator Foray.
Thank you. So following up on that then, and following up on your remarks, Senator Wu, so you contend that this should be an automatic increase, yet you didn't make your request last June 21st. You didn't make your request last September when ISG elected its new leadership, including you. You instead made this unbudgeted mid-year request one day after, I think it was one day after you came to an agreement in principle on Senate committee restructuring. Is that right?
Thank you for your question, Senator Batters. First of all, I do not characterize this as an automatic increase. I characterize it as following the rules of the Senate. The rules have been established by this committee and agreed to by the Senate. Again, I reiterate, the rules state very clearly, groups with 20 or more, as of June the 21st, get $1,060,000. When we discovered that this was the fact, we put in our request, after some consideration, of course. This meeting that approved the increase to $1,060,000 was done in June. That was during the break. It's quite reasonable, I think, that we did not act on it until we got back. And the request being put in on October 27th has no particular significance except that that's the date we put the request in. I would note, however, that it was not acted upon until today, I guess, or until last week when I first presented this request. So there has been a delay of, well, it's certainly 6 weeks now, and that's why we're urgent to put this matter to rest.
Right. I do note that those of us on the steering committee only received this request one day before you appeared last week. Also, the amount that you're requesting is an amount from this past June 21st up until March 31st, 2018, which is the end of the Senate's fiscal year. So, but the amount that you're requesting is for an increase to your office budget. So none of those amounts have been spent yet. Normally in an office budget, the vast majority of your office budget would be based on salaries, on people. And you've indicated last week that you intend to hire additional people in your coordinated independent senators group office, but you haven't hired those people yet. So when salaries would constitute by far the largest component of a group office budget, why would you need retroactive money for the last 6 months if you haven't hired those people yet? I mean, in any scenario this committee looks at here for this particular case, I think that it should, in any scenario, start January 1st, not last June.
Well, thank you again for your question. There are two answers to that. The first is that, again, we should be entitled to the amount that has been set out in the rules. We wish that we had received this money even sooner, perhaps soon after October 27th when we requested it. It's unfortunate that we're still discussing it at this late stage. My second answer is that we do not spend money until we have assurance of it. It's simply a matter of good financial management and prudence. And if we do get this money, we will put in action the plan that we have to hire additional peoples. If we are not able to spend it all, of course, we'll give it back to the Senate. But the principle of obtaining the funds that have been set out in the rules for groups such as ours in the amounts that are designated, I believe should be followed. And I can assure you that if we get the approval today, our staff will immediately put into action the plan to hire the people and do the things that we need to do for an effective ISG secretary.
Okay, and just for the record, the amount that Senator Harder for the government Senate leaders budget is $1.5 million, and along with his government deputy leader and government whips, the total for those three functions is $1.7 for their office budgets.